Why is there always so much work to do? Hello?
Hello, we're calling in reference to the Sweet Sweet Candy Celebration Contest. Is this account name SlimKirby64 with the password RainSage Best Waifu?
I don't remember entering any contest. Although the username and password seem to match up perfectly. Yeah, that's me.
And under location, did you write, hopefully somewhere quiet in the world of Teteala with my gal Rain?
Yeah?
And under biography, you wrote a 20-page essay about how you fell in love with RainSage after your very first playthrough of Tales of Symphonia. And that you wrote multiple fanfictions with her and you on fanfiction.
What about the contest?
Oh, sorry. You won.
Oh. Who can make a sunrise? Sprinkle it with dew. Record a bunch of games and put them on YouTube. The SlimKirby man can.
Not long after the launch of the Nintendo Wii, it was no surprise to find out that Nintendo and Hudson Soft were already in the process of bringing a new Mario Party game to the console. And with the inclusion of the Wii's motion sensing hardware and Wiimote controller, many people were either really curious or really skeptical to how this new game would take off. Would it break new ground in the Mario Party series, introducing a brand new and fresh way to play minigames? Or would it just be another quick buck for Nintendo featuring their favorite plumber, Cash Cow, with motion controls? It's time to find out because it's Mario Party 8 weekend. As usual, let's start with the worst minigames list. Number 10, Glacial Meltdown. Making the good and bad list for this game was actually kind of a tough for me this week, but not because the game features an incredible amount of good or bad minigames, but more so because in a lot of cases it was hard to determine which game goes where on these lists, and the ranking process in general. I will say though that the worst list was a bit easier to figure out though, but because of this process there could be a few games that might seem a little odd. I have a feeling that Glacial Meltdown could be one of them. In this game, you and your opponents are trying to survive on a giant block of ice that continues tilting and shifting around in the middle of the ocean. You can punch and kick your opponents off the platform if you manage to get them close to the edge, but this is not the only way to get an advantage. Buzzy beetles will drop on this platform, and if you get hit by them, you'll be stunned and will start sliding towards a specific direction. Essentially what you want to do is jump on the beetle and then kick it around to knock off the other players. You can also jump on your competitors as well to briefly stun them and just mess with them a bit. The thing that puts this game on the worst list for me is the sheer fact that jumping on the shelled beetle is a bit wonky at times, sometimes making you collide with the beetle instead of landing on top of it. Plus, with everyone else more than likely going towards the beetle as well, you could almost look at your competitors as trying to steal the shell kick from you after you land from jumping on it, putting you almost at a disadvantage if you are the one that makes the first move. Plus, having to deal with ice physics the entire time, this game had a hard road from the very start. I do like the general idea though. Number 9, Winner or Dinner. Minigames really have to do something wrong if they manage to get a coin free-for-all game in the top 10 worst list, but much like Glacial Meltdown, I wouldn't say this game is terrible, but just kinda meh. In this game, coins and spiny shells shoot out of the giant base in the middle of the field, and your goal is to collect as many coins as possible. Whatever you get by the end, you add that amount of coins to your total. What makes this game kind of annoying is the fact that not a lot of objects fire out of the middle vase, so you'll find yourself waiting around a lot for coins to pop up, and then try and erase everyone else to where they do appear. You obviously want to avoid the spiny shells, but also be careful of the piranha pipes on the outskirts of the field, because if a piranha plant pops up and eats you, you'll be temporarily removed from the game, forcing your partner to be the only coin collector until you return. It's just a game that can be a bit awkward to traverse around, and that's really the only reason it's here. Otherwise, just another typical coin collect-a-thon. Number 8, Swervin Skies. I love a good aerial dogfighting game as much as the next guy, but this one is just kinda weird. The team of 3 pilots airplanes that have balloons on them, and the single player pilots a plane that can fire projectiles. The single player's goal is to pop all of the balloons on every team plane before time runs out, while the team tries to avoid the shots. The single player's plane weapon lines up perfectly with the balloon placement, so the only thing you have to do is line up your plane perfectly with the players in front of you and fire when you are directly behind them. If the team player is not quick enough, both of their balloons will pop and they'll be knocked out. Of course, though, this is easier said than done, because the team of 3 does have a good enough time frame to try and evade the shot. So it almost becomes a classic case of Space Invaders syndrome, where you don't want to fire immediately when you are lined up, but try to predict how they will react and move so you can catch them off guard, or as they are trying to fly away from you. There are times where you may only hit one of their balloons and not both, but that's just part of the game and something you'll have to deal with. Overall, though, just not very impressed with this one. Number 7. Snow Way Out. Your parents probably taught you that you should never play on the roof of your house, and I like to think that this minigame is the basis for that fact. In this game, a team of 3 players runs along a roof while the single player launches snowballs at the team. These snowballs are freaking cold though, because if you are struck by one, you will turn into an icy popsicle and slide down the house. The single player must knock off all 3 players before the time ends to win. I'm not sure what it is with this game, but I seriously feel like there is something I'm missing with the snow shots in this game. I don't know if they have a weird hitbox, or if standing on the icy flooring after a snowball lands for too long will turn you into ice as well, but there are times where I'm running around the roof and I just randomly turn into an icy pop without even getting hit by the snowball. Naturally, the icy flooring will make you slip around and have an easier chance to fall off, but there are times where I seriously feel like just standing on it will freeze you. I really don't know what the deal is with this game, except for the fact that I am just not a fan of it. Number 6. Eye on the Prize. These types of minigames really throw me through a loop when it comes to how to approach them. It's because one mistake, although not necessarily a bad thing because it is easy to make mistakes here, is not the deciding factor, but how well and fast you recover from that mistake. In this duel minigame, you and your opponent must sort a bunch of dropping paintballs by color by tilting a bar back and forth so the purple balls drop in one side and the green ones drop in the other. In most cases, a bunch of balls will drop in single color groups at a time, so it's just a matter of holding the bar in the right direction until the group is done, and then you switch the bar to the other side afterwards to get the next group. However, over time, the balls will start falling faster and some colors will be mixed in with other groups. This is where your biggest test of patience will come from, because sometimes getting one on the wrong side is unavoidable, so if you freak out, chances are you might miss a few more than you originally intended to. Stay calm and focus on what will yield you the most points. With that being said though, this can be a very stressful minigame, which is why it's here.
Okay, so according to the contest rules, they're supposed to give you as much candy as you'd want for an entire year. But the company got a huge budget cut, so they really only gave me a few mints and one of these bags of Hershey's milk chocolate kisses. So I'm going to really have to make this last for an entire year. And because I'm already kind of on a diet, my serving sizes are going to be pretty small. So let's see, let's get this knife out. Let's see, probably about... Okay, no, that's too big. So as long as I have like this much per day, I should be fine. Fulfilling.
Number 5. Gun the Runner. Now let's take the main idea of Snow Way Out, but reverse the roles, this time having 3 players firing at a solo player trying to reach the top of this construction site. I don't think I have to say a whole lot about this one. It's a single player trying to reach the top of a platforming segment while enduring endless abuse and havoc by the team of 3. Thankfully, unlike Snow Way Out, if shot, the single player only gets stunned and has a chance to continue. But once the team of 3 has their act together, this can be an extremely frustrating minigame for the solo player. Whether it's being shot whenever coming out of the stun animation, or being purposefully shot right as a platform reaches their level to jump on it. The shots do have a bit of a delay to them, but as usual, once that delay gets figured out and accounted for, good luck. Number 4. Thrash and Crash. I actually expected this one to be a lot lower on this list than it actually ended up, but then I remembered that it is still in the top 5 worst list, so that really isn't saying a whole lot. In this game, the team of 3 are riding skateboards through a track filled with bullet bill cannons and other obstacles, while the single player tries to activate the obstacles to knock them out before reaching the finish line. The team of 3 move their skateboards by motion controls. which is already something I'm not crazy about as it is. Here's my thing about the motion controls. If you are going to implement them in a game, either make the game fully motion controlled or don't use them at all. When you often switch between the two, and in the case of the Wiimote, switching between different types of motion control, it gets really hectic and also kind of makes a game like this almost unplayable. You tilt the Wiimote forward to move faster, pull it back to slow down, and tilt it right or left to, well, move right or left. And because the screen automatically scrolls with the course, it's very easy to get caught off guard, especially in the very early stages of the game. When I first played this game, I don't think I ever successfully lasted more than 5 to 10 seconds because I was just so unprepared for the obstacles and the way this game moves. The single player doesn't exactly get an easy road either though. All they have to do is point and click on the obstacles as they appear throughout the course to activate them, but if you are slow on the rebound, your opponents may already be past the obstruction before you even click on it. Overall, I just feel like this game should have been done a lot differently. Number 3, Treacherous Tightrope. I knew this would be a minigame once I realized that Wiimote balancing could be utilized in some way. In this game, you must compete against your opponents by walking on a long tightrope. During the course of your walk, you must hold your Wiimote straight forward, being parallel with whatever your sensor bar is. If the pole your character is holding on starts to tilt in one direction, you must tilt it slightly in the other direction to get back on track and keep moving at your most optimal of speeds. You'll walk faster the straighter you are, so once you get a good lead going, for the love of God, stay still. Overall, despite knowing and dreading that a minigame like this could exist in Mario Party, I do give this one a little credit for not being the worst minigame in this game, but at the same time, it's still a game I would rather not play at all. You could blame that on me being unable to sit still and have patience when it comes to a game like this, but as far as my list is concerned, I just can't get behind this one. Number 2, You're the Bob-omb and cut from the team. Wow, another Mario Party game where luck-based game isn't the worst? This must be some kind of record or something. Well, either way, as you can see, we do have a tie here, and once again, I really couldn't pick one for being worse than the other. So sorry Glacial Meltdown, you are only on the list because of this tie. Anyway, we know the deal with luck-based games. You pick something, and the random generated gods of the world will determine whether or not you win. You're the Bob-omb is a basic duel where you pick a button and based on what you pressed, you may or may not explode. In Cut from the Team, another luck-based game, of all things, you and your opponents must take turns cutting ropes. Some ropes will eliminate you if you pick wrongly and others will keep you safe. This game goes on until one player remains, so again, really couldn't pick a bigger offender here. They are both pretty bad. Plus, I still wonder why the hell battle and duel minigames always have a habit for featuring luck-based events and not basic 4-player games. However, with all this being said, there is one game that I absolutely can't stand in Mario Party 8, and it's not even a luck-based one. Number 1, Flip the Chimp. Okay, where the hell do I begin with this game? Well, when I first heard that Mario Party 8 would be motion controlled, my biggest fear was having the motion controls not work well in specific games. And while Mario Party 8 honestly did great on the whole, Flip the Chimp wasn't as fortunate. In this 4-player and/or duel minigame, you must race chimps up a tree while avoiding the obstacles that fall from the top. You avoid obstacles by flicking your Wiimote in the opposite direction of the side of the tree the obstruction is falling on. Whoever reaches the top first will be the winner. Here's my problem with this game. The obstacles fall too fast and the game's responsiveness to your flicking the animation isn't fast enough. So there will be a lot of instances of you not switching sides in time despite you clearly switching sides in real time. However, there isn't a lot I can blame in regards to this game though. As much as I want to blame the bad programming, this was still very early in the Wii's lifespan, and honestly it's a good idea for a game. Slowing down the objects would be nice, but then you run into the risk of the game being too easy and there being massive ties for first place. So despite being the worst game for me, I can't really be as angry as other worst minigames have made me in the past lists. But at the same time, when I can win on more regular basis and have more enjoyment with luck-based minigames, there is a bit of a problem with this one, and is most deserving of the worst minigame in Mario Party 8. Okay, that will do it for the worst list. See you later for some games that I obviously find a lot better than this. See you guys then.